KwaZulu Natal is known for its beaches, mountains, sugarcane fields, and vibrant communities. But behind those familiar landscapes are crime cases that left families devastated and entire communities demanding answers. One killer received a sentence of 506 years. Another was given 13 life sentences. Some cases ended with convictions. Others ended with unanswered questions. And in one of the most recent cases, an entire family was allegedly abducted from their home. Today we examine 10 heartbreaking cases from KwaZulu Natal. This documentary focuses on the victims, the evidence, and the legal outcomes, not on glorifying the people accused of these crimes. These cases involve serial murders, kidnappings, political assassinations, vigilante violence, and attacks on ordinary families. Some happened decades ago. Others remain legally active. The details are disturbing, but remembering these cases matters. Behind every headline was a person with a family, a future, and people who expected them to come home. In 1999, Sipho Agmatir Thwala was convicted of multiple serious offenses, including the murders of 16 women. He was also convicted of attempted murder, rape, and indecent assault. The crimes were associated with the Phoenix area and the sugarcane fields north of Durban. Thwala received a sentence of 506 years in prison. The number is difficult to understand until we remember what it represents. 16 victims, 16 families waiting for answers, 16 lives permanently removed from the people who love them. The case created fear among women living and traveling near isolated areas. It also showed how criminals can exploit ordinary surroundings, roads, fields, and employment opportunities to hide violent crimes. The sentence was meant to reflect the seriousness of the offenses, but no sentence can return the victims to their families. In the Umzinto area, young women disappeared after being promised employment. Their bodies were later discovered in sugarcane and tea plantations. Tozamile Taki was convicted in 2011 of murdering 13 women. The victims were between 18 and 25 years old. He received 13 life sentences. What makes this case especially painful is the way hope was allegedly used as part of the trap. For someone looking for work, an employment opportunity can mean food, education, independence, and support for their family. But in this case, that hope became dangerous. The victims were not numbers. They were young women with plans for their lives. Their families had to endure fear, uncertainty, and the devastating discovery of what had happened. The case remains a warning about accepting urgent job offers from strangers without verifying the employer, location, and arrangement. In 2020, the community of Mtwalume was shaken after several women were found dead near sugarcane fields and a petrol station. Residents became frightened. Women who normally walked to work, shops, or transport points began changing their routines. 2 suspects were arrested. One of them, Mduduzi Como, reportedly confessed before dying by suicide while in police custody. But that did not answer every question. A reported confession is not the same as a completed criminal trial. It does not automatically explain the full scale of the crimes or answer every family's questions. The case exposed the vulnerability of people living near isolated roads and fields. It also raised concerns about how long it can take for missing person reports to receive urgent attention. For families, the pain is intensified when a suspect dies before the evidence can be fully tested in court. In January 2018, 20-year-old Siam Lee disappeared from Durban North. Her family and members of the public searched for information. About a week later, her body was found in a sugarcane field near New Hanover. Philani Ntuli was accused of her murder. However, before the case could reach a full trial, Ntuli died from cancer. In 2019, the matter was struck from the court roll. That meant there was no completed trial and no conviction. For Siam's family, the legal process ended without the courtroom answers they had hoped to receive. This case reminds us that an arrest is not the same as justice. Justice requires evidence to be tested, witnesses to be heard, and a court to reach a verdict. When the accused dies before that process is complete, families can be left with grief and uncertainty at the same time. In 2011, Durban was shocked by a series of brutal attacks linked to former rugby player Findile Joseph Inchongwana. He was convicted of the murders of 4 men and other serious offenses, including rape. Inchongwana received 5 life sentences. The case created fear because the attacks appeared difficult for ordinary people to predict. It also raised questions about mental illness, criminal responsibility, and the danger of judging a person only by their public image. A person's reputation, career, or appearance cannot tell us everything about what happens in private. The victims were men who had families, friendships, and daily routines. Their lives ended violently, and their families were left to deal with the consequences. In 2018, 9-year-old Miguel Lowe disappeared in Durban. The search for him became a heartbreaking case involving his family, police, and the wider community. Hope remained while people waited for news, but that hope ended when Miguel's body was found. Mohammed Vahed Ibrahim was convicted of kidnapping, murder, and theft. Cases involving missing children affect an entire community because they challenge the belief that children should be safe in familiar surroundings. A school route, a neighborhood, or a short journey can suddenly become the center of a major investigation. Miguel's case also highlights the importance of teaching children basic safety, who they can trust, where they can go for help, and what to do if an adult tries to lure them away. A conviction may establish responsibility, but it cannot restore a child to his family. In February 2018, botanists Rodney and Rachel Saunders were kidnapped while working in Ngoye Forest. Rodney was 73, Rachel was 64. The couple studied indigenous plants and seeds. Their vehicle was found, and their bodies were later discovered in the Tugela River. For years, their families lived with uncertainty. In July 2026, 3 people were sentenced to double life imprisonment after being convicted of kidnapping, robbery, and murder. The case was disturbing because the couple were carrying out scientific work in a place connected to their research and passion. It also demonstrated the danger of isolated locations, where criminals may believe victims are less likely to receive immediate help. A long investigation eventually produced a legal outcome, but the sentence could never undo the years of loss experienced by the Saunders family. During the July 2021 unrest, Phoenix became the scene of deadly violence. Reports stated that 36 people were killed in Phoenix during the unrest. The violence involved fear, racial tension, vigilantism, attacks, and a breakdown of public order. Families searched for relatives. Some people disappeared from contact. Others were found in hospitals or mortuaries. The Phoenix violence was not one isolated crime committed by one person. It was a wider social disaster. When people lose faith in the police or other institutions, some begin taking the law into their own hands. That can create a cycle where fear produces more violence, and violence produces even more fear. Some individuals were prosecuted, but many families continued to feel that justice had not been fully achieved. The Phoenix case raises an important question. What happens when a community stops believing that the law can protect it? Kwazulu Natal has also experienced violence connected to political power struggles. Fisokule Ntuli was convicted of killing 6 people, including an ANC ward councillor. In 2022, he received 6 life sentences and additional prison time. Political killings affect more than the direct victims. They can frighten witnesses, intimidate communities, and make people afraid to participate in public life. A counselor is supposed to represent local residents. When that person is murdered, the attack can send a message to everyone around them. It suggests that disagreements are no longer being settled through elections, meetings, or debate, but through violence.